Hello and welcome to another Superversive Sunday live stream. I'm your host Ben Wheeler, and today we're doing a Pinkerton's Ghost Q&A. And by that I mean, we're just going to talk about Pinkerton's Ghost and see how people feel about things. How are you doing today, Anthony?
I, as you know, have never had a bad day in my life.
Good. I'm glad that streak is continuing. I am doing well. I'm doing better. I actually got into a fight with somebody who wouldn't leave my bar. Not really a fight. No one threw any fists, but I pushed him down, and I've kept people safe. I'm a hero, Anthony. I'm fighting the forces of evil, or at
Good
least
man.
drunk people, uh, as much as anyone else can these days. As much as anyone else can. Thank you for your praise. I deserve it.
You can't hear it. I'm clapping silently.
Oh, good, 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 good. I'd hate to think that you weren't clapping. Hmm. Huh. Ken is in the wrong stream. Hold on a second. And for some reason, my computer is choking and dying. I don't know why. I'm only playing a relatively non hardware strenuous video game and 15 copies of Bonzi Buddy up. Really, I don't understand. What is going on in here?
Well, that's funny, because with me, I would just say it's because my computer is garbage.
My
So, while
computer
you're
is
figuring
not.
this out, I will say hi to the chat. Carl says, nice thumbnail, laughing my ass off. Thank you, Carl. Gotta call his brother, but he'll be back later tonight. That's good. You'll get to see some of the festivities if you come back later. We have things planned. Bradford Walker says, hey. Hey, Bradford. Again, wait till you see. We got some fun stuff planned for later.
I just hate the
You
idea
will
of my
be
computer choking and
entertained. I
dying.
enjoy it.
It's a gaming PC. It's a beast. Anthony.
You
Anthony.
have a gaming PC.
It wow.
A PC.
Apparently, I have not turned off any calculator. And there's just a whole bunch of calculators on. I don't understand Windows. I don't. Oh, there's Ken. Ken, turn off your. You know what? It's gonna be fine. Turn off your camera though.
Uh,
Right.
well, let me see how I can do this. There's camera. Ah, there it is. Stop camera. Beautiful.
We finally get that glimpse into Ken's home life that we've all been begging
I mean,
for.
if you like, I could turn my camera on to my face. I just generally have it turned off and pointed elsewhere so that Zuckerberg cannot spy on me.
I let him watch. I want
Well,
him to watch. I enjoy
I have
him
far too
watching.
much blackmail. I'm worried.
I already have
So
my
The
I
goal is
guess,
to
material out
convert
there.
Zuckerberg, obviously.
of course, what?
The goal is to convert Zuckerberg. He watches.
Ah, that's an
He's
excellent idea.
I think he would. If
seen
one.
that meme.
What meme?
There's a meme of FBI agents that go like the FBI agent puts down the headphones and goes, "He's right. Jesus Christ is king. I
I've
need to
seen that one.
convert right now."
I've seen that. This is an
Beautiful.
excellent meme.
So, how you doing, Ken?
Yes. I am exhausted, Benjamin. I did not sleep very well last night because my throat was keeping me awake all day.
I see. I see.
Yes. Yes.
Have you gotten any sleep since then?
Since yesterday? I guess I took a little nap, but it wasn't very long. Maybe 20 minutes after church.
I would hate to have you have no relief from the horrors of our waking world. But then
Oh, my
again,
goodness.
who knows?
That is why I have video games. These are my escape from the waking world.
Good. Fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Carl, I know you're here. You're a backer. You get to ask questions, and we'll show you favoritism.
Oh wait, we're currently live. Oh, wunderbar.
Unfortunately, Carl is not here. He said I gotta call my brother, but I'll be back later tonight.
Oh,
So Carl is gone.
Carl.
Carl, you could prove you're here at any time by just posting in the chat, but
So what is the while we are waiting for a question? What is the do we have a overall topic that you would like to discuss?
well, we're waiting for my sister to show up.
Ah, wunderbar. Is she supposed to show up?
Yeah, she agreed to
She
it.
is.
She agreed. So now I can continue
we
to
will be
make her the
discussing-
Yoko Ono of this group. Yes.
Ah, wunderbar. I don't think she will divide. Oh, well, she'll only divide us apart again if she sings again.
Oh, good.
If you're listening, Mariel, we love you. Wait, is it Mariel
All
or
right,
Mariel?
so
I
it is
say Mariel.
Mariel with an A.
Okay. For some reason.
M-A-R-I-E-L, Mariel. Think
Okay.
Mary, but cut off the E at the end. Mariel.
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 All right.
Say
Got
it
it.
fast. There we go.
In Jewish, it's the Mary of God. Gotcha.
Yeah, see, it's an Italian tradition that everybody is,
Named after an angel.
every female is named after Mary in some way.
It is.
So in my family, I have a Marianne, a Marie, a Marielle, a Marilyn, a Tony Marie.
Hmm.
So there's 5.
Makes birthday cards easy. You just do the MAR and then you do the rest yourself.
Just copy quick with each birthday card and then go, oh, I'm a Marianne, Marielle. Just like quick, start spinning them out. And of course, every male is going to be named either Frank or Anthony.
Of course. Yes.
Right.
Wait, you are Italian though, so there could also be Tony. Oh, no, Tony is Anthony, of course, right?
No, obviously there are other options. I mean, probably though, I would
Vito.
say probably somewhere between 30 to 50% is either Frank or Anthony.
Ah. You are very peculiar people. I say as a Scot.
We're perfectly
My grandmother
normal.
breaks the Mary. Yeah, my grandmother on my mother's side breaks the Mary trend by being named Josephine. So get the other half of the Holy Family.
Ah, sure. Oh, fantastic! I got an offer to do the 3rd installment of a not really audio book, but it is a kind of for the NFT that I'm working with, Kingdom of Dwarves. It has basically been this epic tale of a single drunken, fat, old dwarf who went into retirement after being a general in the army. And he is coming back for one last fight.
Okay,
Yes.
but are you being paid?
Yes! I'm being paid
Okay,
$100
then
an episode.
Oh, that's pretty good.
I'm getting paid substantially more than for Pinkerton's Ghost.
Hey, I've got more money coming in.
That'll
I kid.
with the money that you get, you'll almost make as much as you made for one episode. What? Oh, I shouldn't be spreading rumors about our money. I'm
It's like-
sorry. I shouldn't be saying that publicly.
So there's this one thing where it's like, it is where this person put up a sign at their workplace. It is illegal to talk about your pay and compensation, or even to listen about your pay and compensation with another employee. You know, we are at will work state. We will fire you for any reason or no reason at all. And it's just like, oh, that's,
Yeah. That was during, I had that happen to me when I worked at Kmart in my first job. I was a greeter, and the other people that had worked there for longer were paid less than I was because they were merely cashiers. And literally anybody can be a cashier. But as the greeter, I had much more responsibility, including being Santa Claus, and that was a living hell because I was an 18-year-old, and there were lots of 40-year-old divorcee mums coming up to me and saying, "Oh, hello there, Santa Claus. May I sit on your lap?"
Get
Just
away
very
from me, Thought.
That's
Away.
right.
I am a Christian man.
That's right. 18-year-old
That's
Ken
hilarious.
was much more confused than he was, based. So it was more a matter of, "Oh, what? What are you talking about? I'll put you on the naughty list." "Oh, yes, Santa, put me on the naughty list."
That's
It's a-
horrendous and hilarious.
Yes, I know. Much like most of my stories.
I suppose it is, isn't it?
It is.
I don't
Although
know.
this year, when I went to St. Nicholas as opposed to Santa Claus, my stories were much more wholesome. They just were also much more boring.
I wouldn't call any of your stories boring.
No, this story would be boring because
Oh,
there was
yes.
nothing interesting that happened.
Just some older women flirted with you for no reason.
Yes, a bunch of 40-year-olds flirting with an 18-year-old, fresh out of high school, who had only been 18 for 2 months at that point.
Ah,
Practically
man,
robbing
that's
the
fun
cradle.
stuff.
Pretty much, yeah. In some of their cases, I knew their children. Because we went to school together, and they did not recognize it was me. This was also before I had grown my massive beard.
Oh, of course. I actually get a lot of attention at the bar with my beard.
I bet not as much as I do.
It's because no man in California except you is man enough to grow a beard.
At least not one this long.
Ooh, gentle.
Although I am considering shaving. Depends on how well I do with some of the auditions I have coming up. Which I wish I could talk about, but since we are currently streaming, I don't wish to break confidentiality. But I will tell our viewers that there are very possibly some big changes on the horizon for me.
Yeah.
So, this is the Pinkerton's Ghost Stream. The problem is, I have nothing new to report from the last Pinkerton's Ghost Stream, except that things are on track. Thumbs up.
Why don't you...
How about you guys?
You could talk about how I forcefully stripped down your writing style to its bare bones and forced you to write outside your comfort zone. And in fact expanded your comfort zone with my tender mercies.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I could do that.
This is
So-
going to be an Anthony exclusive, as you have not done any such thing with me.
I'm much
Well,
more
Ken,
subtle.
that's because all writing is outside of your comfort zone.
Exactly
So by
right.
writing anything at all,
This is
you are
true.
working outside of your comfort zone.
Excellent point. Proceed with your
All right,
story
so
once
here's the deal. Yeah, there is actually a real story here. To be fair, like there's, this is an actual thing that happened, and is not just making it up. I was a writer before Pinkerton's Ghost. I was a published author. I did not have a novel published, but I had my short stories. I had been paid for my work. I'll put it that way.
I was a published author
Yeah.
too at this point.
Yeah, well, which is great, but I mean, like, I was, what? I wasn't trying to make fun of you. I
No,
was
it
just
was-
pointing
I just-
something out about myself.
Oh no, I was just laughing. It was hysterical.
Yeah, it has nothing, like, I'm sure it's true with you. I'm just pointing something out about myself. Like,
Of course.
I had some experience writing short
course.
stories, which is what Pinkerton's Ghost is, so that's helpful. And, however, I had ascertained very quickly, or relatively quickly, that writing was not going to be a career for me, and it is not, and I don't intend it to be. I have made peace with this. It does not bother me. It never really did. It's just, if you want writing to be, or some people want to try and make a career out of writing, some people do it. I think that hobby isn't exactly right. It's not a hobby, but it is a side job, and side work, even if job isn't exactly right, because I intend to get paid for it, but I don't have any intention of trying to make it my full-time job. Ben does. Ben is an author. He is somebody who really wants to try and make a go one day after, he hones his craft at being a full-time writer. And I say, keeping in mind the bias of the fact that Ben is our editor and in charge of Pinkerton's Ghosts, I say with all due modesty that I think that Ben has a shot at it.
Oh yes, he's the best of both of us, all three of us, by a long shot. And not just the best of us, but he's actually good.
Oh, thank you guys. I'm crying. I'm crying right now. Okay.
I hope this means we get to.
I would argue that that all three of us are pretty good. Like,
yes.
I genuinely believe that to be the case. So, but anyway, continuing with what I'm saying, there is a point to this rambling, I promise.
Yeah.
So, getting to Pinkerton's Ghosts, the types of stories I had written before had tended to be pretty dialogue-heavy in nature. Specifically, I had published 2 stories in the Sci-Fi Journal. One was more like a philosophical work piece, and one was, or a philosophical, not work piece, think piece, and one was a time travel story, but it was a very dialogue-heavy time travel story that was about like a professor going to crucifixion or something like that. Great, no problems. So, and I had published God Robot, in which I had edited. I had published 2 short stories in God Robot, which again were very dialogue heavy because they were like Asimovian. I'm trying to think of the word. Riffs on Asimov.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess that's the way. Homage, who is not an action writer.
Homage à toi.
So ultimately, I had not done a lot of stuff like action oriented, and I had difficulty writing action, which I had expressed to Ben. So, realizing as we were talking about the future of Pinkerton's Ghosts, my story was going to trend more towards action eventually.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of how to word it, so I'm sorry about the delays. I don't want to spoil everything that's going to happen in the future of the show, but Sean's story is going to trend more towards action, is the best way to put it. So, knowing this, and knowing that the seasons were going to go, I think Ben found it prudent to give me something of a homework assignment. Now, granted, there were practical reasons for including, and this became the Special Forces arc, by the way, which 2 of the 3 episodes have been out, and the 3rd has been recorded and is prepared for the next time Sean's story comes up in the time slot. So, I would say that Special Forces, in one sense, was a homework assignment and preparation for the more action-oriented stories that Sean is going to be getting into in Season 3. Now, they are not going to be exclusively action, and even stories that have action in them, I don't intend necessarily to be all action, but there will be a lot of action. There needs to be for where Sean's story is going. It's going to be moving in, shall we say, a kind of Jack-centric direction, as Jack moves in a kind of Sean-centric direction. They're on opposite ends. I will leave that kind of vague to keep it, I'm trying to think of the word. To keep the readers guessing what I mean by that. What do I mean by Jack's story is moving in a Sean direction, Sean's story moving in a Jack direction? Well, make of that what you will, but what it will mean is that Sean is going to be doing a lot of things that are very action movie-ish, if that makes sense. So Special Forces was kind of a homework assignment. It was the idea of Sean is going to be in a Jack story. Now, it actually came out of this discussion where we were discussing there were certain threats that our Pinkertons that certain Pinkertons just wouldn't be able to handle. And it was mentioned that Sean would not be able to handle a Jack-level threat, which I agree with, but also struck me at the time as a cheat. Because Sean, of course, would sometimes need to handle a Jack-level threat when there were limited numbers of Pinkertons, and he was one of the only Pinkertons in the Northeast. So Jack-level threats would find him, and now he no longer had the excuse of Morgana's curse protecting him. So, how do we resolve this? We discussed what would happen if Sean did get a Jack-level threat going after him. I mean, of course, you could just say that the answer is die, but that seems a little bit too simplistic.
Also a boring answer.
Right, it's also a boring answer, exactly. So I said, well, you know what Sean would do? He would go and find Jack and get help. And that became the nucleus of Special Forces. Sean is targeted by a Jack-level threat, meaning a combat force that is on the level that it would provide a serious threat to a man like Jack Morrow, who is a combat expert to the point where you could almost say that that's like his superpower.
I think weaponized autism
Sean
is
is
his superpower.
targeted by this force, and super autism.
Super murder.
He's like the good doctor in
The Good Doctor or whatever.
murder autism. The Good Doctor is a show about an autistic surgeon.
Correct. And now we've got the
like,
Good Mercenary.
The point of the show is that his autism. Yeah, exactly. I mention it because the point of the show was that, like, you know, his hyper focus on autism actually make for him a good surgeon, but whatever. So Sean has to handle this Jack level threat, and it was a good example of like, okay, this is going to be non-stop action. If Sean needs to survive, he's not going to talk his way through these people. These are people who are so powerful, they would be able to provide a threat against Jack Morrow on neutral ground. You know, if Jack and them were to meet in combat, there is at least a chance that these five could be able to win the fight. Now, as I see in the story, Jack, of course, is much like Batman, does not needs to have his fight go ground. He wants to manipulate the terrain to his terrain, and that will often provide the difference. And Jack has a lot of terrain, so we will see how things go when Sean goes to Jack for help, when Jack has time to prepare. But the point is, this was meant to be a very specific challenge for Sean. It was him engaging in more combat-oriented things, and it was a challenge for me, writing more combat-oriented things. Engaging in things that Sean generally did not do. Now, I did have some combat stuff going on with Sean in previous seasons. However, they were the weakest parts of my writing, no question, at least in my opinion. I know that sometimes the authors and the editors and the readers have different opinions matters, so perhaps other people don't consider that my weakest writing, but I considered it my weakest writing. And I think Ben did as well.
It did also.
So, setting up special forces and going, you need to execute this properly. And I will tell you what I learned from doing special forces. Now, I didn't learn it specifically in special forces. It wasn't special forces that taught it to me, but I was able to practice this, and I think it helped a lot. You realize that how to write an action scene, you know, El Jaji Lamplighter, in her writing class, in her writing book, which she has shown to me, and is going to be coming out soon, I believe,
both in audiobook form and in
points out that a lot of what we consider, like, you know, high-level writing is actually really quite simple. It is a trick. She even calls the first chapter of the book the trick. And a lot of how to do things like creating three-dimensional characters, creating good descriptions and all of that is actually not complicated at all. You just don't know how to do it. I found writing action scenes to be somewhat in that category. In point of fact, writing an action scene is actually not difficult at all. You just need to know how to do it. And the way that you write a good action scene is that you need to make it visceral. You need to describe how the action makes the characters feel. So, what do I mean by that? Well, I think that of the three stories, in my opinion, the best of the three was the first Special Forces. I think Special Forces 2 was good, and I think Special Forces 3 turned out fine. I think I don't have a problem with any of the Special Forces story. I think the trilogy came out well enough. But I think that the best of the three was the first one. So, how did I do this in the first story? Well, when Sean gets on his motorcycle and goes on the run from the Special Forces agents, what happens in the story? He describes things like swerving to avoid trees, branches whipping into his face, the cold of the wind. He describes the glare of the headlights getting into his eyes or recognizing that means they're getting closer behind him. He falls off of his bike. He gets thrown off of his bike and hits a snowbank mercifully that keeps him alive, though heavily bruised. And when he wakes up, he describes being in extreme pain and probably mildly concussed. When he sees the bodies dropping to the floor in front of him when the Special Forces agents show up, he describes how he feels when he sees them die, and he gives a brief description of their dying, looking like that they were on strings that had just been cut. They were alive and now they're dead. The visceral moment of it. The point is that I am describing what Sean is experiencing in the moments of action. The specific things that are making it stand out to him as different. When you stab a man, when you slice a man's neck, you feel the knife cutting into the flesh. You see the blood drain out like a faucet, and as Ben described it in an edit, they deflate in front of you. Writing an action scene is about making all of those visceral details come alive, adding a sort of heft to it.
Now, granted, they don't necessarily have to be gruesome or profane in the description or graphicness.
No, and I would think, I would agree, because I don't even think that Special Forces Part 1 and also my sister, I don't necessarily think...
Hi, Mariel.
Yep.
Howdy.
We'll discuss... I'll finish my sentence and then we'll continue with what we were planning on doing. So I don't even think that Special Forces Part 1 was gruesome. There is the scene where everybody dies, but even that scene I wouldn't necessarily describe as gruesome, because Sean doesn't describe the gruesomeness of it. He describes the moment of seeing that that moment of seeing the life leave, right? That these were people who were normal, living, breathing people, and then it was like a puppet whose strings had been cut, and they're just suddenly no more. And that's the moment that sticks with Sean. But it's not gruesome in the sense of being gory.
Sure.
Although he does mention the blood, which is an important point, though, because the blood is, again, that these are, he is being physically affected by the deaths that are in front of him.
Right. Much like they were physically affected by the same thing.
So, Mariel. Hello. For people who do not know her, I will introduce her. This is my sister.
And I was so ready to say my name is Mariel Marchetta, no relation, and you ruined it.
This is why you have to always
no
plan
relation.
these things.
Planning. Disgusting.
Yeah.
This
No
show does not
relation.
survive on plan.
This is my sister, Mariel Marchetta, no relation. Anyway, anyway, she is the voice of and eventual author of Hint Hint Control, one of the characters in Pinkerton's Ghosts. Mariel, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Was really happy to be invited here, and for those of you who watched the most recent April Fool's episode, I was the voice of Control, and yes, that was my real voice.
Internally.
Sounds like a squeak toy. It's adorable.
Love it.
Oh dear lord. It'll be especially funny when I'm describing all the murder that happens.
Yep. Lovingly edited, carefully handcrafted, the gore adjusted for just the maximum amount of.
Of course, want to make children vomit and scream. That is our main goal here at Pinkerton's Ghosts.
That is the German part of me.
Correct.
Oh, and my song will be coming onto all streaming platforms. I expect that, Ben.
triple platinum at least. Don't you worry. I got you. You stick with me, kid. I'm not going to treat you like the Dixie Chicks and take all the royalties like Sony did. Until it was pointed out in Dan Rather national show that they hadn't been paid a dime for a $300 million selling album. Nope, that's not going to happen here.
Honestly, that's
Well-
more of their fault because they negotiated poorly their own contract.
Yeah, but they're also the Dixie Chicks. Think about it, Ken. Think about it.
Yes. Oh, no, but it's still their fault. Don't get me wrong, Sony is evil, but
Well, once we make $300 million, I will expect my fair share of that.
yeah.
$35, a gift card to Arby's, and a pat on the back.
I would be very happy with a gift card to Arby's.
I'll take that into consideration.
Oh, Chick-fil-A or no deal. I am an expensive buy.
Oh, of course.
What
Thanks,
sort
Ray's
of
chicken.
tour do you take her for?
Classiest kind ever.
One where apparently I just can't. No. I won't make that joke. All right.
Yep. As Ben realizes what he's about to say, and then goes, too much.
Yep. Mario Marchetta is the author-S of the Control trilogy, which is the last part is going to be edited by me. I have it loaded up on my computer on Scrivener, and I will be doing that soonish, I hope, because, yeah, I wanted this done as much as anyone else.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to that. Scrivener, huh?
I love Scrivener.
I just use the old Google Docs. What do you guys use out of curiosity?
Word.
Word to
Yeah,
your
I
mother.
bought Scrivener, used it for 5 minutes, hated it, and then went back to Word.
I literally use whatever I can to make Ben hate me. That is why I constantly double space after periods.
Oh my
That does
god.
hurt me.
Why do people do that?
Because I learned how to type on a typewriter.
Ah. I find Zen writers actually pretty helpful, but only if you're willing to pay $3 a month. And why would you do that if Google Docs a thing?
Right.
Yeah, like, I paid $40 for Scrivener, and I want my money back.
Scrivener's good. It lets you create a giant document with a whole bunch of unter documents that lets you create like sub documents and such like. It's good.
Counter argument, I'm writing a series of short stories. I don't need sub-document.
You know, there's
I'm
this
the
thing
one
called
editing
Drive
it.
where... Alright, but there's this thing
Yeah,
called
that's
Google
true.
Drive where you can make folders and then subfolders in those folders, unterfolders, if you will.
I just don't understand the
but then they're
motivational
in the
drive to
hands
create
of
folders.
Google.
I like folders.
Okay, that's true. Big Tech will see our is probably already leaking my stories as we speak.
I mean, big tech stories are on YouTube.
I mean,
Mhm.
yes, but also think about it. The more that big tech tries to steal from us, the more that they might actually produce quality for once.
I don't want that to be. I don't want them to produce quality though, because then they make money doing good things when they are evil.
That's true, and then there are direct competitors.
Right. Well, as opposed to just our gatekeepers.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
At least now we'll know their names. And by that, I mean, having a list, checking it twice. It's all naughty. They're all naughty, not nice.
Shout out to the FBI agent spying on me right now.
I think I've met my FBI agent. His name is Danny Waco. He's vaguely Hispanic,
An FBI agent named Waco. That's appropriate.
right? He's a nice guy, though.
That's amazing.
There's a blue Polestar tootling around my neighborhood with some guys in it that are wearing pit vipers. This isn't a schizoid delusion. It's real. Please help. No, I'm kidding. Actually, no. The blue Polestar with guys with pit vipers wearing is real. I don't know. I don't know about these guys. Why would you bring a blue Polestar to my neighborhood? Of all
I don't even know what
places?
a pulsar is beyond an astrological event.
It is a type of car, high luxury, electronic, quasi-electronic,
Oh, but
almost
the FBI
like.
do not drive. They have the cheapest things. They would not. They would not bring a pulsar to spy on you.
You saying I don't deserve quality spyware?
Correct.
Wow.
It's not necessary. You live in St. Louis. Who would waste the good stuff on St. Louis?
Huh.
Special nod out to all of our St. Louis listeners.
All right.
We love you.
Yeah. There's so like thinking about editing and whatnot. Like I try to do different things to what the strengths and weaknesses of, a person is. Like it's not just me randomly doing things as much as I say that I just randomly do things all the time and that's it. That's all I do, randomly doing things. I actually put thought into it. I don't need to give Ken the same treatment that I am tenderly, lovingly thrusting upon Anthony. What's wrong,
Just got
Mariel?
very gay very quickly.
No, nothing of the sort. This is entirely innocent.
Ben shows up in my dreams.
And then I tell
This
him
is
how
not
to
good.
improve his writing. That's it. This is it. I'm unnecessarily sexy.
I hear the ping of Ben's messenger app when I close my eyes, and then I just grab it. Did he read this one? Did he read the third one yet?
Ben is the reason I don't have notifications activated.
Wow. You people.
And also,
Smart.
yes.
Listen, the last 2 times you've messaged me ending the story, I've been at the library doing nothing for 5 hours.
No, don't admit that to him.
Good.
Why?
I
What do I
can
do?
talk more. Because
No.
I also get bored. That's the thing. What about the editor?
You poor woman.
Run, get out.
Hey,
Change
you
your name.
fools.
Blocked.
No. All right. But I
I'll
do.
just go back. I'll just go back to my pen name now.
You
He
have a
does
pen.
actually have a pen name. Fun fact.
Yeah, actually, it's not that hard to figure out. I use God Robot.
Thank you.
Are we going to have to guess? Are you going to tell us? Or
I mean,
No, we'll have to find it
No.
out. I've got a
Ken,
copy
did
of
you
God
not?
Robot.
Ken, did you not read God Robot?
of
You-
course I didn't read God Robot.
well, read God Robot.
Who do you take Ken for?
That's
A
right.
reader?
Someone who reads?
You take me for literate? 9. I am decidedly
Look at his
illiterate.
picture.
Yes, exactly.
Does that look like the face of a man who's opened the book?
Oh, I have paid
I
people
don't
to
want
open
to
books
be
for
mean.
me. Oh my goodness, for me, be mean. This is what we are.
It's banter.
Hello, we are Pinkerton's ghosts and we are cruel.
Well, I'm a
But
librarian and I
we're
would never
so
read,
mean
so
here.
I'm a
We're so
librarian and I never read, so it's honestly kind of funny.
I was going to say embrace the
Fun fact.
Schadenfreude, but that's even better.
Oh no, it's a fun fact. Is it
Fun fact,
actually
I
fun?
never learned how to read. All of my stories are by dictation.
Yes, I write them down for him.
It hurts.
Ah, that's why there are so few spelling errors.
That's completely correct. I am an English major. I went to college.
Oh.
And have you? I guess you have used your degree because you are a librarian.
Well, almost. I'm in graduate school, so I'm going to be a librarian, hopefully.
Ah.
Unfortunately.
I was about to say, how do you enjoy that?
Well,
You
Uh,
don't. That's the secret.
I do in the sense that it's better than teaching, which is what I was going to do.
Oof,
But
yeah.
I imagine we're among friends here, and I can say that the public school system is a hellhole.
Yes. Although,
Yeah.
just because we are friends here, don't forget there is nothing secret on the internet.
I have FBI
yeah.
Don't
agents
feel-
surrounding my house. I just admitted
Which
this.
is why I don't talk about my life. You have in this one conversation, you have revealed more to our viewers than I have about my own life in my entire time on the show.
Oh well, that's all.
And
Well, that's all
probably
you're getting.
more.
Well, that's all you're getting out of me, to be clear.
Oh, okay. Clamming up all of a
Immediately
sudden.
she leaves.
It's like,
Immediately I leave. I mean, I was this close to just making my guest name Control and doing his entirety in character, but I just didn't have the energy.
we'll be
That'll
doing
be
that
funny.
later. For a
that'll
special
be
thing
fun.
for the people.
But yes, I've been in character this entire time also. Just not the character of
Okay,
So,
I feel
let's
very.
discuss
No, you go.
the April Fool's.
hold on. I do want to say something real quick though. Like as you guys'
Please do.
editor, like it is. I do consider pretty carefully what you guys' strengths and flaws are, even if I don't like keep a list, check it twice, or anything like that, because I'm not going to stop referencing that. It's more about like what you guys are capable of, and then I work around that, than just saying that, oh well, it needs this one time, and then pretending like there will never be another one. I think from what I've seen from some editors, you have two types: the ones who are just looking for one story from their victim, I guess we'll call them, or people like John Campbell, who actually kept a stable of authors like Asimov and Heinlein and others to work with over time, and he actually developed them until they rebelled against him and destroyed a lot of things that he was already trying to destroy. Because that was a weird and wild west time for writing.
Or the story, don't rely on Eastern Europeans if you want to build anything.
Asimov? What?
Yeah, that's above. He was Russian.
Yeah, but he actually, yeah.
You
you're
said he
right.
destroyed something. Yeah.
No. They well, it also includes guys like the Elric of Melnibone and all those other people.
I confess to have never heard of him.
Really?
Yeah, the things I don't know fill a very, very large book.
Good, I guess. I'm more of a Luddite myself, but
Yes, well, Neo-Luddite.
So it's like I make the choices just because like I have a very explicit one with Sean Russo stories doesn't mean I have quiet ones with Ken. And
Oh, no, he
eventually,
says many, many cruel things to me.
I do, but it's different from the cruel things I tell Anthony. Just like it's different from the cruel things I tell Mariel. But you'll have to find out in the end. Who knows?
Oh dear.
Ben is a cruel,
Yeah,
cruel man.
Ben is a jerk.
I am.
So, what I was going to ask is, Mariel, since you are rarely a guest, Ken and I are the regular hosts. Ken is a frequent guest, and this is your first time, I believe, on the show. So, since you're rarely a guest, tell us, what was it like doing the control for April Fools?
Doing it for April Fool's was it? Oh wow, well, that it was quite a time, let me tell you. Well, after writing 3 extremely serious horror stories where I got deep into the psyche of Control, it was interesting to go from that to seeing a jaunty 90s sitcom show tune.
Absolutely.
Well,
It's an
1980s,
experience
yes.
everyone should have.
At least once in their life.
The hardest part was getting through it without laughing. That was like take 10.
I am nothing if not a shameless hack. But it was enjoyable to write, too. Once I got into the spirit of absolutely garbage 90s sitcoms, which, by the way, all except for the event at the end where Sean escapes, has been things I've seen on real, like, one-episode sitcoms on NBC.
Oh, sure, except for the roommate that's a pyromaniac and the other roommate who's a borderline psychotic.
No, well, it's the spirit of them. Except
Oh,
usually
sure.
they only have one psychotic.
That's true, we had at least 2.
We had 2.
Well, I
Guaranteed.
mean, I'm not sure if Control is or not.
Okay, yeah, you're
I'm
right.
probably more of a sociopath, but I'm not sure.
She's never been tested. Thank goodness.
The organization doesn't care if I'm a sociopath. They don't test you for that.
Right. It's like, oh, you can look upon unrelenting horrors.
They just care if you're killing the right people.
Him has actively avoided all testing because he thinks it's all a fraud.
No, not wrong.
We're fine with that, too.
So, and it was also one of those things that it was fine to edit it once I had lots and lots of alcohol and could appreciate the humor of it.
That was the goal. That was the goal.
Yes.
So
Yes, and
going
that's
through
why-
it,
Now,
I was going to say that's why some of the more whimsical editing choices in the audio were made. I would like to thank Costco Tennessee whiskey for being nice and cheap. and reasonably tasty.
You should try bullet bourbon sometime. I have a friend who actually worked on them making it. It's like lower alcohol content, but it's a pretty good flavor. It's kind of like charcoal and the other stuff mixed together, but in the good way. Charcoal
My
has
main
a flavor
point-
I like. I don't know.
I enjoy that flavor, but when it comes to alcohol, I prefer to get the higher alcohol content, so I drink less to get similar effect.
Drink.
If I have to
less.
have something with a low alcohol content, then go through half a bottle before I feel this tipsy.
I mean, okay.
So,
This by the way, is why
Mariel.
Ken has stopped drinking.
Yes.
here is a question for you. Now, I happen to know, through evil necromancer type memes, that you have finished your Control trilogy and submitted it and are waiting for edit. Now, one might say because you just mentioned this.
But really, it's because of our sibling telepathy.
Yes. So, knowing this, what was your experience writing the trilogy and creating a character of Control? Like, is your... Again, I think that it's interesting to hear from you, since Ken will be back on the show, I am sure.
I'll
And
probably be forced to.
Ben is on the show. And Ben and I are hosts of the show. You, however, will only drag you out for special occasions.
Yeah, that's the
So,
only way you can drag
Given this
me
is
out
one
my
of the
hole.
rare occasions.
My basement is
Yeah.
entirely comfortable. Thank you. I've got futons, it never floods, and the rats are small enough that you can fight them off in waves.
4 out of 5 hostages agree.
The reason my camera's not on is so you can't see me blinking in Morse code. But alright,
This actually reminds me of the incredible scene in in the new Muppet movie where he kidnaps Jack Black, and Jack Black is on camera, and he's going, "Help! I'm being held here against my will, been kidnapped." And then Kermit shoves him aside and goes, "Isn't Jack Black such a kidder?" And they just keep going with the show.
Right.
This is what's happening here. She's going, "I'm held against my will. I have been kidnapped. I can give you the address." Shove her
Anthony's
aside.
not my real brother,
what a
please.
joker.
who is Anthony? I've never heard of him before.
Peter.
Who is that voice?
So,
We don't know.
Oh, fair.
He gets
The
the
ghost.
sub-basement.
Ah,
the sub.
the sub-basement.
Anyway, Mariel, just answer my
The
question.
Dom basement.
Okay,
Damn
so what was it like writing Control for the trilogy? Well, I'll say it's always interesting going into something that's, somebody else's character. Now, I am not one of those degenerates that wrote lots of fan fiction as a teenager, but
I
I
like the
dabbled.
vodka. Yes.
I did dabble in it briefly, so I felt totally prepared for this, but not really. But yeah, so it was interesting, I guess, because Ben was very generous in letting me put my own spin on the character. I talked to him about what I thought he was like, but obviously, while I had Ben to be my guidance on that, it is better. It is easier for everybody if you get the vision in mind mostly down the first time around. So I was very cognizant the entire time I was writing it. I watched the scenes where she was featured briefly before my stories, and yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting to have in the back of your head, am I writing her the way that she was intended? And just trying to find the right balance of keeping her, I guess, in character, but also remembering. The interesting thing I think about my stories is that these were stories that happened in the past. This is like a prequel to when she's first featured in the show. I hope that's not too much of a spoiler, and I mean I doubt it is, and so it's kind of interesting because she's the same character. This is before a lot of her, I will say, most traumatic moments have happened. So naturally she's going to be different. but he can't be too different. Does that make sense?
Yes.
No, elaborate.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, Control's been through a lot, especially for her age. I don't know if he knows, but she's barely an adult, and she's lost her arm and been kidnapped. It's a very hard time for her.
And she
What
already
might
has a smoker's voice.
Yeah, he has a smoker's voice. Very bad.
3 packs of Lucky Strike a day, no less.
Unfiltered.
Yeah. Yeah. Whenever next time I record, I'll have to smoke a pack first. That's how I get the voice down.
I have to say, it
was
a very wise decision on Ben's part to not go with my idea, which was simply have me do the character and talk about it like this.
In the most
incredible.
humble way possible, Ben. Why did you not do that?
Because I write
Alright,
for
so-
longevity, not for the single gag that's funny once.
That's true. You could not listen to an entire audiobook of that. That would drive everyone crazy.
I mean, don't get
Oh,
me
but
wrong.
you-
If you want to, you can start it off with that, and then it's like you hear a gunshot, and she's like, doppelgangers. Can't even get the voice right.
If you ever want to do that, I'd be more than happy to provide my vocal talents for that particular
Good man.
gag.
Well, if you ever want to, if we need a voice for Control's mother in the trilogy,
Oh, there
Ben.
you go. I like it.
There we go. All right. That's a thing. Enough. That'll work. Yeah. So continue. So it's like you're working with the character. You felt you really got it, and I gave you enough head to really sort of let you show your strengths. What do you think went really well with it overall? Like the process and the sort of thinking through of the character and the events and the horror that will be showcased.
Oh yeah, well, I understand because this is the first time I ever really dabbled in doing doing a horror story. Most of my writing before this had mostly been a character interaction focus, I guess you could say. I don't want to call myself literary because I am not, and that is no. But I was never really particularly somebody who wrote a lot of a lot of action horror. I guess you could call it I don't know, genre or whatever they would call it. But so this was difficult in that sense. But I always knew that my strengths, at least my personally, what I think, maybe I'm totally wrong, but I always enjoyed writing dialogue. So the interactions Control has with other characters in the story, I think, is where it really was easy for me. And it's not a coincidence that I made sure she had plenty of other people to bounce off of in the stories.
Mm-hmm.
It was very important to me that there was an ensemble for her to interact with. So I think that went really well in the relationships she forms with other people in the stories. Especially one in particular, like I said, I don't want to give too much away, but that appears near the end of the first story, ended up being, honestly, one of my favorite characters.
We'll definitely see him again.
Wonderful. I would be happy to bring him back.
Oh, absolutely. And it's one of those things like very soon we're going to branch out from more than just the audio, but also have things that you could touch with your hands and read with your lying eyes. And so there's always opportunities for us to kind of grow our abilities as writers and as people who can sort of handle these different challenges. Like a lot of what goes on with the writers oftentimes is just sort of like this weird stagnation. Like Patrick Rothfuss never actually finishing anything in the long form, or George R. R. Martin more famously. But he's it's just kind of okay, old man, we get you. The second you pass on, somebody's gonna finish it. Probably.
Brandon Sanderson.
Hopefully, I think he should only say, yeah, I'll do it because I'm Brandon Sanderson, and then only if he's allowed to edit the first novels, and then he edits out Stark's death, have him solve everything and finish it in one 400-page novel.
I like this so much better.
So, wait, who does this?
Brandon Sanderson.
Oh, he was that
Oh,
author. He just had like the highest most successful Kickstarter campaign ever, right?
Yes,
Yes.
it was him.
That's the guy.
Now,
And because he has thrown off the chains of Tor, I'm hoping that his books regain the morality that they used to have.
yeah.
I have never read a word of Sanderson. So
He
I
is
Same.
one of the
can't
best Christian, Mormon fantasy authors.
That's what the Mormons.
Oh,
Right.
interesting.
comment. Huh? No
Yes.
kidding. I didn't know
Yes.
that.
Oh, he's very good.
I heard that he was going to use some of the money and start just like funding all the other Kickstarters that authors are doing on the website. So guys, get it out right now, now.
He's already done it. It's over. I
Yep.
believe.
Oh man, we should have struck while the iron was hot.
Yeah, we were really bad at this. Unfortunately, I would have done Scandinavian Fights that way, but it's not publishing. It's a movie.
Well, count me in on opening night.
I'll definitely let everyone else know when it finally comes back.
I
to have
showed
cancelled.
your original. I showed your original Little Mermaid thing to
Ah!
the family.
Oh yeah,
The night it came out, I like played it in front of everyone, and
Aw.
my sister's comment was, "What the hell was that?" I said, she did not say how. She said it was through.
You know what?
I don't
I'm
mean
not
she
even
was saying
ashamed.
it like that was a so bad way. Just that was very weird, and I don't know what I was expecting.
You know what? I am not even ashamed. That is 100% true.
And I'm not the least bit offended. In fact, that's kind of the reaction I was hoping for.
I was gonna say, well, I hope not, because I honestly
That was
think that was what you were
terrible.
trying to do.
I would not expect that.
Ooh. Basically, everybody that I explained the premise to, when I told them it's a Viking parody of Little Mermaid, or later on a Viking parody of Aladdin, when they actually saw what it wound up being, they always, to a person, said, "Oh, this was not at all what you promised, but we like it better."
I gotta ask, what made you think to do that?
So it came about. Well, let's see. I started making parody songs to impress a lady, and she wasn't impressed. But I decided to keep doing it because it was funny for me, and I realized how simple it was to adjust Disney songs, since they are just so simplistic in writing. So I did Little Mermaid, and it wound up garnering more support than I really expected. And because people seem to think I have a decent voice, I decided to actually make a musical out of it and take singing lessons and actually make a full-blown hour to hour and a half long spectacular. Only this time featuring songs from Aladdin.
Oh, nice. So
Yes.
you might be starting a new genre. I know bardcore was a thing for a while. Now we can have like what, Norsecore?
Yes! Well, like this.
That's
That would be very funny. No, so what's going to wind up happening? I did a Kickstarter, it failed for various reasons, and now I'm probably going to just release the songs to basically show people, hey, this is what I was thinking. Later on, when I try the Kickstarter again, now you know what to support me for.
I like it.
Oh, good luck.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
So we're at 9 o'clock. This is the traditional time to end, though we did start an hour late. Though we also generally only go an hour on Pinkerton stream, so I don't know what Ben is thinking. This has all gotten very confused from what we were originally planning on doing.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I
I'm
showed
going
up
to
and that
ask
just
Ken.
ruined everything.
I'm just happy people showed up.
You're the Yoko Ono of the group. What I want to say though is, Ken,
Yes, sir.
in honor of Palm Sunday,
Yes.
why don't you read us all Donkey
Oh.
by G.K. Chesterton?
Oh my goodness, I didn't even consider this.
Read us off.
Let me pull this off. Pull this up. Is there a particular accent you'd like me to do it in?
You know, I have to.
Oh,
You know, I have to ask.
Syriac.
And I have to ask, because
Yes.
this is the first time I'm really hearing your voice, Ken, so I'm
Yeah.
sorry for that. Is that your actual accent?
No, not even close. I'm actually getting things ready because later tonight I'm going to be playing Dungeons and Dragons with a character from the Black Forest. So I wanted to practice.
Oh,
my
that's awesome.
German.
I always wanted to try that, but I've never had any friends who actually play Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, it is so much fun. It's basically an acting and or writing exercise writ large.
So, we have the. I'm playing a boring character for the one that me and Ken are in.
Mm.
But the one I'm playing for John C. Wright, because I pay him money monthly to write, yes, is I play Aeneas, the Emperor of Mankind from Super Luminary. And of course, I play it with a full understanding of his biopowers and the fact that canonically he can't read. So because his ring always reads it for him, so it's like, I can't read this. Haven't you read that? No, I just no, never needed it. Emperor.
My current characters are I have a bunny rabbit guy who used to be a pirate, who is now a priest of Ilmater, which is basically D&D Jesus. He runs around speaking with a German accent and hands everybody a Werder's original to take away the pain of existence. I have a mafia character who's basically the son of fantasy Satan, and he just goes around and he does a lot of really awful things. You know, it's really fun playing a devil because it's interesting to see. I use it for writing exercises so I can better understand Loki later on. And then another, I played a tiefling who was a refined British spy, but he accidentally got recruited into this agency of spies because he was a food taster, like a critic. And he had to keep his secrecy when he was discovered, so he basically said, "I'm a spy." Yes, exactly right. So this entire time he is out of his league, doing things he has no idea what he should be doing, because he's really just a civilian.
Oh,
I love
wow.
D&D. It's ridiculous.
Now, would it be irreverent of me to suggest that you use the Mafia voice when you read the donkey?
I will do my best. All right. The Donkey by G.K. Chesterton. When fishes flew and forests walked, and figs grew upon thorn, some moment when the moon was blood, then surely I was born. With monstrous head and sickening cry, and ears like errant wings, the devils walk in parody on all four-footed things. The tattered outlaw of the earth, of ancient crooked will, starve, scourge, deride me. I am dumb. I keep my secrets still. Fools, for I also have my hour, one far fierce hour and sweet. There was a shout about my ears, and palms before my feet.
You can't hear it, but
It
I'm
kind of
clapping.
works for the low-born set of the donkey.
It kind of
I like
does.
it.
Actually, yeah. You know, it was really funny. I remember once it was explained to like an atheist who'd never been Catholic about Palm Sunday, and I was like, yeah, so on Sundays we burn palms, and on Palm Sunday we burn palms. He was like, wait, you burn palms? Like, he sounded horrified. I was like, why do you sound so horrified? We're just I was like, oh, because he thought I meant the palm of your hand.
To be fair, even I,
You also
not a
got
Catholic,
it wrong.
am
You don't
confused.
burn the palm. Yeah, you don't burn the palms on Palm Sunday. You burn the palms after Palm Sunday to get the ashes for Ash Wednesday.
Oh, wait, I thought Ash
Oh,
Wednesday
really?
happened.
Which is
Wow,
true,
I'm
by the way. People.
Oh,
Isn't
But-
Ash Wednesday like a long time before Palm Sunday?
I guess we burned the palms from the
Well-
last year for this year.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yes.
Oh, that's very environmentally friendly.
In
No one's
fact,
ever
that
accused
is how
Catholics
you're
of being
supposed to dispose of your palms. You bring them back to the church, and the church burns them and turns them into the ashes that are used for Ash Wednesday.
Interesting. I like that.
It's a neat little cycle, I guess.
Oh, well, I was way off then. I'm sorry.
Your friend is now very, very, very confused.
Well,
Yeah,
he
it's
thought
fine.
he thought we burned our hands to prove how much we love Jesus. Like,
No, but
Well, you
we
guys
engage
used to
in.
hit each other with
Unfortunately,
whips.
we stopped doing that. Yeah. Unfortunately, we stopped doing that in the ages because us moderns are pussies.
Right.
Yes.
Yes, o Domine,
We haven't
dona
even-
hies requiem.
Bonk. We haven't even had a good brother war in, I don't know, 3 centuries. We've gotten
we could all
fat
start
and
one.
lazy.
I mean, things are
St.
pretty bad
Catherine
right now.
of
We can always
Siena
start.
looks at us in shame.
So does John Calvin.
Yes. On both ends of the spectrum.
Yes.
St. Catherine is very disappointed that nobody is starving themselves or intentionally infecting open sores, as she did to prove her holiness.
Duh.
And John Calvin is just mean. So
He was.
He was the Pope of Vienna.
He was a strange man.
Really was.
Like, John Knox is the Calvinist I actually look for. Like, sure, it's all pointing to Calvin, but, like, Calvin was actually quite moderate. So was John Knox. But then it's like, they just kind of pushed it and pushed it and pushed it. And it's like, alright, I don't know. It's weird. Calvinism's weird, guys. It's not as weird as Mormonism, which is super Gnostic and all that jazz. But it's
Just a little bit of heresy.
Just a little bit. Just a little taste.
And by a little bit, I mean totally.
Just a little bit.
Oh, what's a little
by
heresy
a little
among
bit,
friends?
I mean,
From the bottom to the top, it's heresy.
yeah. I am very
Heretics all the
not-
way down.
I am very not nice to Mormonism, I'm afraid. I am
way,
nice to Mormons. I am not charitable towards Mormonism. I don't think that I think it's nonsense, essentially.
I would
But
also like to point out that that reference definitely does prove that Mariel has watched this show. As I've
No.
never
What
heard
way?
all
No.
the way down.
No,
no,
it,
Turtles all the way down.
Way
is the
down is-
same.
that's
What's it-
Discworld. And
Oh.
I know I didn't read Discworld, but I also a John Green novel, which I also haven't read, but I am studying for children's librarian, so I have heard of it.
Gotcha. Then I'm the one that's uneducated. Never mind.
It actually originates from a Stephen Hawking story, believe it or not, in I think A Brief History of the Universe. He tells a story where he was talking about the origins of the universe, and the story he told is that a woman came up to him after he gave his lecture and said, "You're very smart, young man. You're very smart, but the universe is actually on the back of a giant turtle." So then Stephen Hawking said, "So then what's the turtle standing on?" And the woman responded, "You think you're very clever, but it's turtles all the way down."
She was Hindu. Or she just
She
really
was-
liked Stephen King.
To be honest with you, it actually sounds like she probably was, which is interesting. But, he
Wait,
just
so he
told
was
that
being
story as,
so
like,
we think he was being serious when he
No.
said that?
Yeah, Hindus are still pretty strong in their beliefs, actually.
Right.
It's interesting.
I remember when I was in college, we had our world religion professor. Everyone had to take a comparative religions class because of those useless extra credits. And he was a white Buddhist. And so whenever, because, he's an American. And so anytime any of us asked, "So wait, you guys believe that all the universe is eternal and that nothing began or ended?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's exactly right." He's like, "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard." He's like, "Yeah, I know." It's like he knows how dumb his religion
Well,
is.
at least he's honest.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he's honest with certain aspects, but he obviously is dishonest with himself if he still believes it.
Maybe he's just a complicated man. I don't know.
Hey, it was 15 years ago. Who knows? Maybe he found Jesus since then.
One hopes.
Indeed.
All right. Well, thank you all for coming here. Unless you guys have something else to say, why don't we
Nope.
do a round of thing? Mariel, do you have anything to lead us out?
I didn't plan anything, but I hope everybody will enjoy my stories, and thank you again for giving me the opportunity to write them.
No problem. I appreciate you writing them. They're very good.
Aww.
And I would like to shout out to all the FBI agents who look upon our Amazon wish lists and buy us things. You know, We
There are
just really
probably more
appreciate it.
FBI agents watching the stream than people who aren't FBI agents.
currently have one person watching.
Hi, hello.
Hi, Bradford.
Sorry for the short
Oh
stream.
wow, that
guys.
was the name. Oh wow, that was the name of my writing professor. I didn't like him.
Surprise! Guess which one he is.
Professor Bradford, who said that I shouldn't do genre fiction. Now you know. I didn't listen to you.
You work on commission, right? Big mistake. Yeah, just pretty woman your way
He
out of
made
there.
he made $8 on his last quarterly check for his novel. I made $200 on God Robot, who's the actual
Ooh.
author.
Dang, look at you.
Rich, Moneybags. She's like 3 tiers
Oh.
above us. Dang.
Yeah.
Well, I think those of us eligible will now be fighting to woo the rich authoress $200. Ooh. Ooh. Have a good night, guys.
All right, thank you, Ben.
And we are no longer